I'm just talking to y'all on mute. Y'all just, you know what I'm saying? Just have to read my lips. If you were here and you were a good lip reader, you had the best intro in the world about me right here. January 13th, man, morning drop style. Your man Ike Jones in here, about to get to this money this morning, talking about Justin Rogers, defensive tackle, transfer from Kentucky, man. Let's get to it. Drop it on him.
You are now listening to the War Report. Drop.
I'm just clicking all kinds of buttons this morning, man. I don't know what's going on.
I can't. Well, y'all with that mime intro this morning.
Yeah, man. I'm just out here pushing buttons, pushing the wrong buttons, man. Apparently, I need something to wake
some
me
coffee
up this morning. Something. I don't know what's going on, man. Anyway, man, morning drop, man. We're here. My man Mike G, Ike Jones. Not the most smooth of intros. I've done much better on my intros than this in the mornings, but hey, man, it is what it is. But yeah, man, morning drop. We are here talking about Justin Rogers, defensive tackle from Kentucky, transferring in to Auburn now. And we're stacking up on the defensive front, man. We were stacking up on the offensive front, and now we're stacking up more on the defensive front. How you feeling first and foremost, man? How you feeling this morning, dude?
I'm feeling good. Auburn is racking in the commits, and we're here to talk about another one. So the portal has been kind to Hugh Freeze,
for sure.
But Hugh Freeze has been kind to the portal, and it's exciting to see. I think for a lot of fans that they're going out and they're getting guys who potentially will be game changers. Depth is always important, so they did the work on the offensive line. Now we're seeing him bring somebody in on the defensive line. We talked about this. We talked about whether or not this would be something that would be a weakness for Auburn this coming season is depth on D-line, right? So we know we got Jason Jones down there and some other guys that are going to be incumbents that are going to do the job, but who's stepping up behind them?
Right.
Maybe Justin Rogers is.
Yeah, man, look at Justin Rogers was coveted, right? He has improved literally. Oh, Mike G with the new morning drop mug. Hold on, cuz you can't just casually sip that and not show everybody your mug. Show it to the camera again,
listen,
man.
we got the morning drop. We got the morning drop mug.
Yeah,
and
man.
I'm sipping from the cup of greatness created by Ike Jones this morning with my morning coffee.
That's right, man. But yeah, man, Justin Rogers, highly coveted in the portal. He improved every season. If you look at his grades on PFF, started as a freshman at Kentucky on a Kentucky defense that had played well over the last two years at least, and he was a centerpiece to that. He probably isn't going to have like flashy stats because he was more of a nose tackle type of guy, but he was in there anchoring a defensive front that played well the last couple of years under Coach Stoops there in Kentucky. So good to have some more, as you said, depth and experience coming in here to be able to play now on the defensive front.
Listen, 6'2", 311. He might be playing a little heavier than that now, but that's somebody who's plug the middle.
I've got him listed here on PFS as 332.
Oh yeah, so he put on 20 pounds. Again, somebody who's going to come in and plug the middle for Auburn. Right. Again, I like the guys that we have there, but it's not a bad idea to bring in a guy like this and just put some more depth on that D line. Now, as you mentioned, Kentucky has played pretty well on defense, right? I think it's a smart move for them. And, they're running out of roster spots here. I mean, listen, they brought in so many guys that they're running out of roster spots here. So this might be one of the last guys that they bring in. I still think they want to go get a quarterback too. But Justin Rogers might be, second to last guy they bring in this portal class.
I mean, there's a lot of rumors that there is a linebacker commit that may be coming in here in the next day or so. But yeah, I would expect one more linebacker and then one more QB to round out this class. If they had their way, that's how it would work out, I think.
Right. That's absolutely. I mean, this guy wants to be here. Now, I don't know what his reasons for leaving Kentucky are. But he said, it's time for a new chapter. And he wanted to thank Auburn University for giving him a chance to come in and do his thing. So I like that. Like, listen, man, guys move on. He's moving from one SEC school to another. As we mentioned, the deadline for portal transfers to transfer within conference without having to sit out a year is closing quickly.
Yeah.
So they had. I mean, he didn't have much time to make this decision. He made it. He's here. I think Auburn is happy to have him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a wonderful thing for Auburn to have, again, somebody with this level of experience in the SEC, right? Like it's one thing to have experience in playing, but it's another thing to have played in this conference and kind of understand. He's switching to the other side of the conference, which I would consider the better side of the conference, right?
Yeah,
but
definitely.
he did at least have to go against teams like Georgia. He did have to play against Tennessee last year.
He's caught up a little bit this year.
Yeah,
they caught up a little bit.
So yeah, they but he's gonna face Georgia again. He's gonna face Bama. He's gonna face LSU, Texas A&M. There's gonna be tough competition every single week, and still gets to play against Vanderbilt another year, which was one of his better games on the season last year. If you look at the grading of how he played, so it's gonna be a good look for Auburn if we get into this season. As you stated multiple times, the spring camp battles for who is going to be getting playing time and all that is going to be super interesting. And I have to stress this. I keep saying this. Auburn fans need to brace themselves for the wave of transfers out that's going to happen post-spring, because it's going to happen as people start to see where they fall on the depth chart and they say to themselves, this is what the landscape looks like right now. Here are where my opportunities exist to play immediately. Guys are going to go looking for a place where they feel like they can land and play right now. So just be aware that that's going to happen. When you bring in talent, you're going to lose talent as well. It's not a zero-sum game in that way. So you're going to bring in people and you're going to lose them.
Yeah, listen, Justin Rogers is an interesting guy, man. I mean, out of high school, he could have got us, he's from Michigan. He could have got a scholarship to any, Michigan State wanted him, Michigan wanted him.
Right.
They all tried to keep him in state, and he chose to go to Kentucky. I'm trying to understand that decision just a little bit, but maybe they had an effective sales pitch, or he thought that was his best place to start. But he's somewhat of a journeyman, right? And once they make this last transfer, because he's gonna have to sit out a year if he transfers again. It's tough. It's really tough jumping from school to school and trying to find success. So I think he finds I think he finds his groove at Auburn. We talked about the defensive scheme. You talked about the defensive scheme that Auburn is going to be running, right? And we've said over and over again how players commit to coaches, their vision, right, and their scheme. Now, Zach Calzada just recently on social media confirmed that for us. Right. Somebody asked, what happened to Zach Calzada, and he said Austin Davis, for anybody wondering. I quote tweeted him, and I said, that's valid on every level. So I think that Auburn sold Justin Rogers on a scheme that he'll be used in. At his size and weight, he could have stayed at Kentucky and played, right? But he's choosing to make this switch, and there could be more to his decision. But I think that he probably talked to them about the scheme that they're going to be running and how he's going to be used within that scheme with the experience that he has, and he likes it, so he's here. So that just bolsters the excitement, right, that Hugh Freeze and staff are generating, not only for fans, but for these guys who are coming in through the portal to say, hey, Auburn is a place you want to play. Because we may not have been 500 last year, but this is not a talentless team. They had a scheme issue, Ike. And you put Justin Rogers in the right scheme at Auburn, and he probably wrecks shop.
Yeah. Listen, he played for 3 years at Kentucky and did well. As you said, from the state of Michigan coming into Auburn. One of the things that he talked about, or he has, what was interesting is Coach V. King Williams, who is now assistant D-line coach at Auburn, was a guy who he was connected to previously. And their relationship could have been a big reason why Justin decided to keep, his senior year, come over to Auburn and play. Still has 2 years of eligibility if he wants to utilize that 5th year. But I think he's a guy who wants to come show something big this season. So he's playing for a draft spot right now. And you always want guys who are coming here ready to go and show out. It's almost like that contract year thing in the NFL. Hopefully he gives us a contract year thing here in college and is able to show out for us.
Does Justin Rogers take a spot from somebody on the starting D-line this fall?
I mean, listen, the starting snap battle between him, because it's likely going to be a nose tackle thing, right? So that's going to be him, and it's going to be Jason Jones. Justin Rogers, Jason Jones are likely going to be the guys fighting for that spot, unless we're going to go heavy along the front and put them both up there with Marcus Harris, right? But you know, we've got I think was it Lawrence Johnson was the guy who transferred in, who was going to be potentially the Purdue. He's another guy who could be a nose tackle for us in this scheme. So those three are the ones that are going to be battling. But I would anticipate we're going to be rotating guys in and out. So who starts the game is not really what's most important. It's really about snap counts, right? And your question is, can you get the right amount of snap counts for guys? And you have to factor in, look, Jason Jones isn't going anywhere, right? He's already used his one transfer. Lawrence Johnson just got here on a transfer. Justin Jones just got here on a transfer. So we know we have three guys who can play that nose tackle zero technique up in the front. So it's about who's going to get the snaps right now and what kind of fronts do we want to present to people. Do we want to go with the heavy front because we have the big bodies to be able to do that? We've got the Maryland transfer that's in here. We've got Jeffrey Emba that's in here. We got Marcus Harris that's in here, right? Of those guys that I just named, every last one of them, other than Jeffrey Emba, is a transfer. Jeffrey Emba is a JUCO guy, but he hasn't used his technical D1 transfer that he could use. So he's the only guy who could get out of here and play immediately somewhere else. Jeffrey Emba, don't do it. Chill, bro. But then you still have like guys like a DJ Sledge along that defensive front who, you know, redshirt freshman we haven't seen play, who's anticipated to have a big role this season. But we've got talent there. The question is, how well do we rotate that talent, and how can we keep all of these guys feeling like you have a role here with our school and we're going to utilize you properly? So that's going to be a big task for the new defensive line coach, Garrett, to get in here and get guys bought into this system and understanding that they have a place and getting his rotations down properly.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, rotating a lot of guys on defense is the mark of the better defenses in our conference. Because come fourth quarter, with the way these offenses have turned so prolific, right? Like, you need a guy who can get in and get a sack and do some things. I mean, if you watch the national championship game, that was a masterclass in, you know, how to shut a team out. Right now, they scored a touchdown, but I mean, like, that was damn near a shutout. That was as close.
There was
to
one bust on one play. That really
one bust on one play. Yeah, one coverage bust. Or TCU probably scores no points. And when I watched Georgia's defense and how they rotated and, you know, how they got guys in, I mean, there was a video. They were literally eating chicken wings on the sideline.
Right. Disrespectful. Disrespectful.
So disrespectful. Is
gonna go back and they're gonna be like, it was actually frog legs.
yeah.
That would be way more disrespectful if they were doing frog legs with them playing the horned frogs. That just
right. Listen, I want to see Auburn eating chicken wings on the sideline this season.
Yeah.
On defense, I want to see the big uglies on the defensive side chilling, right? Yeah. And you know, again, I think that, you know, Kirby has kind of set the bar for, you know, how to build a defense that is built to last.
Yeah, because listen, we thought we were in the era where defense wasn't going to be dominant in college football, and Kirby Smart was like, hold on.
They had maybe one game that they gave up a bunch of points all year, which was Ohio State. Yeah. They were fortunate that the kicker didn't have what it took to make that kick at the end of the game. But then they came back against TCU and they showed, like, listen, we have recruited superior talent. We have guys that fit our system, right? We have guys who know our system and know their assignments. And if you come in as an inferior opponent, we're going to show you how inferior you are. Yeah. I think that Auburn, you know, is trying to get to that place on defense, right? And so, you know, build the piece by piece, guys like Justin Rogers are going to help them slowly get there. Now, this defense to me was good last year, right? Now we had a lot of causality with, you know, how the offense affected the defense last year. So if Hugh Freeze can improve on offense, They can improve time of possession, field position, not putting our defense in bad positions where they've got their backs against the wall and somebody has to make a super play. I think you see a really good defense with the addition of Justin Rogers this year, man. So again, we'll see how these guys pan out. Right. I'm stressing. He's bringing in bodies, certainly. And I think that's a good thing. So having people is better than not having people. But, we'll see how these guys play because this is a lot of talent that they're going to have to evaluate during the spring.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, man, I am so looking forward to this. This is probably going to be the most involved I've been in spring competitions in a while, just because there's so many new faces, right? Like it's not, to me, it's not just like, oh, I'm excited again. I'm always excited, but there's so many new faces. And with this new scheme and with our new access that we have to things, we can get more involved in this sort of thing. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to this off season. If you're in here right now, make sure you are sharing this video at the War Report, hashtag get your weight up. Make sure you give us a like right now, man. You're watching the video right now. Go ahead and hit like. Don't forget to do that. Subscribe to the channel if you're watching. We need these subscriptions, guys. 10,000. I'm going to keep saying it until it happens.
We're so close. Listen, tell your grandma.
Subs.
Tell your cousin.
10,000 subs.
Tell anybody, right? Yeah. We are like 250 away from 10K.
Yeah, so, man. We need to get there. If you're trying to get in here and comment right now, it's because you're not a member, and we only do member comments this morning. We want as many people to join in on the conversation as possible. So go ahead and get a membership to the War Report. Lots of great paywall content popping off for y'all, man. So join, and we will hook you up with all the great stuff. You are listening to the Morning Drop, sponsored by RogueShop.com. Head over to RogueShop.com using code RAPPORT if you are a person that needs help with sleep. If you have issues with anxiety, if you need a dose of pain medicine that's not coming from, some medicinal counter somewhere, the Rogue Shop can hook you up with all of those things, man. RogueShop.com. Rogue Shop is America's #1 online dispensary. Use code RAPPORT for 10% off of your purchase. But speaking of people who their anxiety levels aren't high, it's our members out here in the comments right now, man. And we are going to go to those members right now. Getting it jumped off with Ben Bloodworth. He says, happy Friday the 13th. It indeed is Friday the 13th. You would have heard that in my pantomime intro had I not muted myself initially to start the show. You know what I'm saying? But it happens. Sometimes players mess up. You understand?
It was hilarious for my ear because I was like, hey, Mike.
Yeah. Jonathan Boyson, War Damn Eagle, not gonna lie, starting to get excited about next year. Listen, man, it's always time to be excited about Auburn sports.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think that's one of the big things, right? Is the excitement around football that they started to lose midseason, right? Cadillac comes in and brings the excitement. Texas A&M was like a championship game, and then Hugh Freeze comes in and keeps that momentum going. Yeah. And I think that is really important for support for the program. There are a lot of people out there like, I'm not watching next year if this is what it's going to be. Right. And I think that, I disagree with the idea that fans don't support the program because they don't like a higher coaching decision. But I do agree with the fact that, hey, you should voice your concern about the direction of the program because it ain't cheap, man, these days to get down to a game, like
for sure.
Right. Like, the gas, the tickets, if you want me to do all that, you better put a product on the field that's worth me spending my hard-earned dollars in this economy. Right. On tickets and concessions.
For sure. Robin Powell jumps in. War Damn Eagle #2 portal ranking now.
That's what they
say. Definitely looking forward to seeing how that turns into number something rankings in the fall. So hopefully we can turn those portal rankings into actual college football playoff rankings. So
I think On3 is the only service doing portal rankings right now.
I'm not sure. I don't even look at rankings. I just look at who we got. So you guys think I'm kidding when I say I don't care about stars and all that kind of stuff. It's good for headlines and all. I want to see productivity on the field. I don't care if it's a 2-star guy. Is he going to come in and he's going to ball? I don't really care about any of the ranking stuff. The only ranking I care about is where we rank in the Auburn community, and that's number 1. And we need you guys to get us to 10K so we can, do our little happy dance on that. But yeah, no, portal ranking hopefully translates to something on the field coming up this fall for sure.
That's facts.
Michael Carlisle says, all good, Ike. We all glad it's Friday. Talking about my mishap with the mic this morning. We appreciate your continued support and your ability to see past my flaws this morning. I appreciate that. Don Cullen jumps in and says, it's amazing seeing Hugh Freeze knock it out of the park. I do think, there's a conversation that's being had. That's an interesting conversation that's happening online that maybe we'll get into a little bit. I don't want to spend too much time on it this morning because we have enough time to parse it out about how much of a splash Hugh Freeze has made thus far in what he's done as far as bringing talent in. But I think, there's a conversation to be had there, and I won't get into it today, but I think it's an interesting one. Maybe we'll parse that out Sunday when we've had more opportunity to look at who else comes in before this portal situation gets done. Bay Lineman jumps in and says, how long has it been since we've had this much excitement with recruiting / off season? Freeze burning up the portal. Give them a freeze burn.
Oh, man. Cue the corny freeze puns. Listen, I've said it 100 times already since I've been back. This is going to be one of the most anticipated spring practices that we've seen in quite some time, with the amount of guys that we're going to be evaluating and looking at. And there's going to be shuffles, and guys are going to jump other guys on the depth chart. And then they're going to have to take all those 15 practices and go out on A-Day and show fans a preview of how they're going to run the basics, how well they run the basics of just football. Make your damn tackle.
Yep.
Right? Make the right read. Hit the receiver in stride. These are the things that we're going to be looking at. So not only are we going to be looking at guys like Justin Rogers, but there's a lot on the offensive side of the ball that we're going to be looking at, particularly Robbie Ashford. All eyes are going to be on him this spring,
For
man.
sure.
And he's saying it with his chest right now, Ike, on social media.
Yeah.
He was like, man, I did a recent interview where he's just said, last year is nowhere near what I could do. Now I believe that because he played most of last year hurt with a hurt throwing shoulder. So if he is, and he still did he did some things with his legs. He's going to have to do some things with his arms, and we're going to see what they can do. But I agree, it's going to be, the excitement is building for a lot of people. And, Hugh Freeze has got to go out there and show that he can take guys like Robbie Ashford, Holden Garner, create opportunities for these young guys coming up with talent like Jay Fair. We just need to see it. We need to see it. Now, he's a middle tier paid head coach in the SEC this year. So it is, he still gets somewhat of a first year pass for me on some things. But I still, based on what he said, expect 8 wins with these guys.
Yeah.
Find a way to get 8 wins with these guys, based on what you said, the bar you set. Right. So there's Mike G putting this on him. He put it on himself. I'm just going with what he said.
Yeah. Because he's super chat, he gets to skip the line, man. Our guy Imani Smoot jumping in here with super chat. Appreciate you very much. I'm sorry, but I smell national championship this upcoming season. TJ Finley, Robbie Ashford can shine under Hugh Freeze. Imani, always good to see you in here, and always good to see the anticipation of a complete domination in the SEC next year. Imani's going to be the one that's going to say we're going to win every game, every season, and I love it.
Hey, listen, Imani, will meet me in Vegas at the Wynn Hotel at the sports book, and we'll put our $100 down on Auburn to win the national championship this year and the college football playoff. Right, Auburn is going off at 100-1 right now. So when they do it, we'll go back and pick up our $10,000 and blow it all on the blackjack table in 5 minutes.
Sounds like I can get with the first half of that plan. Second half, not so much. P-Pass jumps in and says he's transferring to watch a real basketball team. Speaking of Jordan Rogers leaving Kentucky to come to
listen, shots fired. Does Cal get fired this year? I know we're talking football this morning, but
I think he's going to
with
leave
Kentucky.
before he gets fired. I don't think they've got the balls to do. I don't think Kentucky's got the balls to fire Coach Calipari.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a guy who's had a lot of success, and brought home some championships there, and like he's done some things. But man, shocking to see the downfall of Kentucky basketball. Like, I mean, and this could be way over. Maybe this is just a bad season for them. It happens, but I think it's more about how the rest of the SEC has caught up to them.
Yeah, for
than
sure.
it is about how they're playing down. Like they, again with Texas A&M and Tennessee, has always been good, and now Auburn is on the rise, and Alabama is good.
Yeah.
Wow. Right. Like as much as it pains me to say it, they're probably the class of the SEC right now, and just these schools that you couldn't really count on to be tough wins. I mean, they got beat. Kentucky got beat by South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
The other day, and I mean, they didn't have a win in the SEC, so like the rest of the SEC is catching up to them for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long SEC season, man. Just strap in, folks. We're still early in the season. A lot can change down the stretch, and then once you get to tournament time, it's any person's game. So we'll see what happens here. Derek Anderson jumps in. Y'all don't understand how bad I wanted to see Freeze at Auburn versus the Ole Miss game wearing a 4th and Kiffin shirt. If Hugh Freeze, dog.
Can we send him one? Can we send him one?
I would pay my own money to buy a shirt and send it to Hugh Freeze if he wore it. Like, I don't care if he like wore it underneath like a sweatshirt and then like took that sweatshirt off for the press conference. Dog. The amount of joy, like not because I designed the shirt, forget about that part. The amount of joy that would bring to me would be immeasurable.
Can we just start some artificial beef between Kiffin and Freeze, just so maybe he'll wear it? Now y'all heard what Kiffin said about.
Oh man,
I think it would be fun. Hugh Freeze seems like a fun guy. I know you got to do the Yahtzee stuff and whatever. But yeah, like we'll send him one. We'll send him one because we have the address. We have the access. Right, we have a guy who can get it to him, and we'll see if he wears it. We'll see if he wears it.
If he just like wear it to SEC Media Days or something, just to start the beef before the season starts. I would. Anyway, I don't want to get that's funny though, Derek. I like it. James Sawyer, I like Rogers for what he said about there is better competition on this side of the SEC. Listen, it's facts, man. The SEC West has been the class of the college football world for the better part of the last few decades.
Yeah, it's been like that extra division of the NFL essentially.
Yeah.
Right. With the guys that have come through, the teams, the championships, the bowl wins and the draft picks. I don't think it's arguable. Now, I can't stress enough, the SEC East, I think they did better this year than they have in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, you had a couple of teams. Listen, you can't
argue.
Kentucky
Georgia is top 10 at one point, right?
Georgia's back-to-back national champions, and they're from the SEC East, right?
Yeah. So
the class of that conference division. But Tennessee was a very good team for the vast majority of the season. Kentucky, as you said, was a top 10 team for portions of the season. Vanderbilt was actually looked like they could play football at portions during the season. South Carolina surprised a couple of teams down the back stretch of that season. So yeah, they played better football on that side of the conference for sure. They wish that Missouri just wasn't there, so we didn't have to talk about them when it comes to SEC East. Vanderbilt, though they looked better, it was only better for Vanderbilt. And then Florida was just kind of middling there. So definitely better overall as a division than they had been previously.
Facts.
Michael Carlisle says, I thought Lane Kiffin was the portal master. Does he not know they broke and ugly? Come on home, Austin Keys.
Oh, man. Listen,
linebackers.
Kiffin got paid and then brought in a weak sauce recruiting class. Yeah. So, again, he's going to have to give another master class on how to get the most out of what you got because it ain't that much. So,
yeah, listen, man, he can remedy it all with a good season. I don't know what their needs are right now. As I don't keep up with Ole Miss's roster, right? Like they brought a lot of guys in the portal last year. He brought a lot of guys in the portal last year that had a lot of eligibility. So but they may not have had a lot of roster spots to fill. I have no idea.
But Ike, they lost the most to the portal of anybody in the SEC as well, too. So he had to bring in those guys.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about, I mean, it was almost a zero-sum game in terms of guys that he brought in because you lost just as many guys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for Auburn, well, it's nowhere
and
close.
How many have they had transfer out? Like, I don't know. I listen, I don't keep up with Ole Miss enough to know.
It was a lot. I mean, like, listen, they lost.
I'm talking about this season, not last season. I know they lost like 20 something, but I don't know this season what they're looking like as far as attrition is concerned with seniors graduating and transfers out. I don't know what their roster needs are or where they are as far as scholarships available and all that sort of thing. Blake O says Hugh is going to oversign to cover the portal losses after the spring. Listen, it makes a lot of sense. Georgia last year had something like 10 over the 85 number that you could have, and I think that they still ended up having too many. And what teams are doing right now is they will take a guy off a scholarship and then let NIL be a quasi scholarship for him. Right. And so that's happening with people. That's why people they don't mind being preferred walk-ons and that sort of thing out of high school, because now they're getting kind of quasi scholarships through NIL to pay for their schooling. So it's a different time, man. Different time in the world right now.
It is.
Michael Carlisle jumps back in. Rogers has 2 years to play. Should be a great anchor to build around. I don't know if he sticks around for both years, if he plays well enough this year, because he had a good junior season in Kentucky. But if he comes and he plays for 2 years, that'd be amazing. But I really don't know what his plans are. I think that he wants to go pro, and I think that's what all the aspirations of these kids are.
Facts.
Bay Lyman jumps in. Isn't Chapman a senior this year? Do we have another punter on the roster?
Good question.
So I can't remember his last name. It was Daniel, I think Perez maybe, was on the roster last year at punter. He wasn't on scholarship, so we only have one scholarship punter. I do know that what's our guy's name? Evan McGuire can punt.
Evan has done punting.
Yeah.
Duties before. I'll be interested to see if that's something he's even interested in doing.
Yeah.
But it will be it'll be interesting to see. I think Chapman has been a pretty good solid punter for us.
Yeah.
Right. That punting is always one of those aspects of the game that gets overlooked until the punter goes out there and shanks one in his own territory for 15 yards. Because field position is important and the punter plays a huge role in that. So, I trust Hugh Freeze and staff will be evaluating that position as well, too, and bringing in a young guy who can, again, punter is one of those guys where you don't have to get your weight up much, right, to come in and start from day one if you can kick.
Yeah.
Right. So, these guys, they get stronger in college, certainly, and they get better at their technique. But, they can pick up a punter in the off season.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worried about it. Right. Like,
yeah, no, I mean, but to the point, this is Chapman's senior season, so we would be losing him after this year. So got to figure something out there. Bay Lyman jumps back in. I think everyone is sleeping on Holden too.
I don't think anybody's sleeping on Holden. Right?
I think a lot of fans are sleeping on Holden. I don't know that players are sleeping on Holden. I know for a fact that players are excited about the prospect of Holden Gardner and his arm talent. This coaching staff hasn't really had an opportunity to evaluate him, so they couldn't be sleeping on him. But I do think that a lot of fans, in their lust for we got to bring in another quarterback, are looking over the fact that Holden Gardner is sitting right there.
Yeah, like I said, to me, I think a lot of people are anticipating seeing what he could do. Right? It's just this line was such a worry. But you're talking about a guy who didn't play enough last year. I think he took his red shirt, so he's still got 4 years to play.
Yeah,
right. He didn't participate in more than 4 games last year. I think we saw him 1 game for a series versus Missouri.
2 series,
right?
But yeah,
and then he was out. So he took a red shirt. He's still got 4 years to play. If you're Holden, you continue to fine tune your game and get ready for what's coming. And then when your opportunity arises for whatever reason, you got to show out, right?
Yep.
So injuries happen. If they don't bring in another quarterback, I would assume he's the number 2 quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, listen, unless you're going to put a freshman up above him, he is going to be the next guy. So.
He's the next guy up, right? And that's just assuming that he doesn't outplay somebody in the spring.
Right.
Well, we don't know. We don't
have no idea. So
we literally
again,
don't know.
the spring battle is going to be intense.
Mhm.
Mystic Wanderer says, all I want to see is Auburn back in the top 25 again next season. Anything else is gravy. Would be
That's
a welcome
facts.
sight for me as well. Bay Lyman jumps back in. Lane doing a 4th and Kiffin on the portal class too.
Mm.
Wow, you guys are going in on Lane this morning. Now, I am here for every minute of it. Corey Weber, we need to get back to Australia to find our next punter.
Yeah,
Man, those
get them
Aussie
rugby
style
guys.
punters, man. That's
Get them rugby guys.
always been a good thing for most places. All right, man, we're about to get out of here. Another morning drop complete. We appreciate you guys for rocking with us. Again, make sure that you visit our sponsor, RogueShop.com, using code RAPPORT on your purchase. Rogue Shop, America's #1 online dispensary, has you covered. Join the War Report for more benefits like this. Hit that join button before you get out of here. Like and subscribe to this video. We're the War Report everywhere, man. We appreciate you guys dropping with us once again. We'll be back at you all tomorrow. Auburn basketball is back in Neville Arena playing Mississippi State. So you guys brace for that battle there in the arena. Until then, and the next time, as always, War Eagle, we're out of here.
Get yourself a morning drop mug.
Do that. Yes,
you need
indeed.
it. You need
Peace.
it.